Urgent. Moscow has been gripped by an icy vice. The capital of the Russian Federation has simply had its power cut off. Russia is going dark and freezing over. A massive pillar of flame shot into the sky, leaving thousands of people trapped. Kamchatka has been buried under ice. Putin's lands have become uninhabitable. There are already the first casualties in the regions under emergency. Russians are under blockade. Nature is punishing the Russian Federation. An icy hell and a killer cyclone. Moscow's power grid has been switched to survival mode. All this and more coming up. Watch until the end. Ukraine welcomes you today. Renata Zlanov here with the latest updates. Moscow is being urgently shut down. A fire broke out at an electrical substation in Serpukov, Moscow region. A huge pillar of fire shot up into the sky, paralyzing life in the entire region. Social media is exploding with shocking footage. A blackout hit the city instantly.
Look at those explosions over there.
According to local residents, the fire broke out at the substation and footage from the scene is being posted on social media. But that's not even the most sensational part. Just a couple of kilometers from the epicenter of the fiery inferno, there's a secret facility. A branch of the military academy of the Strategic Missile Forces. Well,
that's it. The power's been cut.
The situation is becoming deadly dangerous. Right now, an abnormal cold front is hitting the Moscow region. Temperatures have plummeted to minus 29 degrees. Without electricity or heat, thousands of people found themselves trapped in an icy prison. The blackout crept up on Syktyvka, Russia as well. The power disappeared along with the heating, turning residential high-rises into giant freezers. The city was engulfed by an icy hell.
Over there you see, across the street, that building has power, but ours doesn't. It's right across the road by Ganka's place, the Syktyvka Hotel. And just to the right, there's another building. There's no power there either.
The company Rossetti simply washed its hands of the situation, abandoning people to their fate in the bitter cold. Furious residents are trying to reach the authorities, but as locals complain, the dispatchers cowardly turned off their phones. And on top of that, a direct hit to the heart of the power system. A real apocalypse has begun in Kursk. A powerful explosion in the Tetis area shook the city. Local social media pages are reporting a fire at the substation and disruptions with electricity, water and heating. The Russian Ministry of Defense cynically claims a successful interception, 3 downed drones. Eyewitnesses are furious. In fact, Ukrainian kamikaze drones have once again penetrated Putin's leaky air defenses.
A power outage occurred in the Simsky district of Kursk. There is no voltage coming from CHPP-1 to the substation industrial.
While Russia isn't struggling with power outages, nature has decided to help them out. In Kamchatka, for example, there was snowfall such as has not been seen in more than 50 years. People jump out of the windows onto the stairs. Local residents reported on social media about surobs up to 5 meters high. In Petropavlovsk and Kamchatsky, a municipal-level state of emergency remains in effect. Avalanche warnings are in effect in the region.
This is the 2nd floor.
A state of emergency was declared in Kamchatka due to the snow collapse. 2 local residents died after being buried by snow that fell from rooftops. Against this backdrop, passenger buses in Petropavlovsk and Kamchatsky have stopped running. People are being transported by National Guard vans and shift buses. Some residents' homes have been buried in snow, to the point that they can't get out without the help of rescuers.
All right, I'll be there soon.
Meanwhile, Moscow is being hit by severe frosts. After record-breaking snowdrifts, a new devastating cyclone is about to hit the capital. Moscow still hasn't recovered from a snowfall the likes of which hasn't been seen in the past 56 years. And meteorologists are already sounding the alarm. An abnormal icy blast will hit the region, paralyzing the city.
This is what an unplowed road looks like. On top of that, more snow has been dumped here. It's impossible to get to work. It is simply and completely impossible. There is such an incredibly massive and deep snowdrift right here.
The powerful cyclone Francis has already paralyzed transportation in Russia's capital, but the worst is yet to come. After the blizzard, severe frosts are on their way and a new cyclone is creeping up on Moscow. According to forecasts, the air temperature in Moscow could drop to minus 20 degrees and in some districts and low-lying areas to minus 22 or even lower. There's panic in the Kremlin. The heating system is being urgently switched to survival mode.
One got stuck just standing there. The others, accordingly, can't turn around.
An icy hell is already engulfing neighboring regions. Highways are turning into traps for Russians. In the Tver and Yaroslavl regions, temperatures could reach minus 25 to 27 degrees. High humidity after the snowfall, combined with a sudden cold snap, creates a risk of ice forming on power lines. Widespread outages and a total blackout are inevitable. So the coming days will be a real test for Russia's public utilities. The highway
is simply buried in snow.
Russia is freezing, the south is cut off, thousands are trapped in ice, highways are blocked, airports are paralyzed, and homes are dark and cold. This is a nationwide collapse. Shocking details ahead. A snowfall that Moscow hasn't seen in the middle of winter for the past 56 years. The snowfall in Kamchatka also broke a 30-year record. At the beginning of January, let me remind you, several regions of Russia were literally paralyzed by the powerful cyclone Frenti, which resulted in airport delays, traffic accidents, closures of federal highways, and problems with heating and electricity.
The entire city has been freezing for 3 days now. Heating, electricity and water were cut off back on December 31st. At least we have a pool where we can collect water, but everyone else is melting snow. The state of emergency was only declared on the second day, but no one tells us anything, no one informs us in any way. The emergency services aren't telling us anything. They say, we don't know, just wait.
It is also reported that problems with electricity and heating in several southern regions of Russia will last for several weeks.
The situation in Krasnodar Krai, the Republic of IAEA, as well as in neighboring regions, may remain difficult for the next 2 weeks. This is according to our sources in the Ministry of Emergency Situations. The interlocutors note that the situation has worsened due to deteriorating weather conditions. At the same time, in some places, the infrastructure is worn out. Sources also mention that emergency services are unable to quickly cope with the disaster because of the large amount of snow.
But after the snow cyclone, severe frosts are heading for Russia.
According to preliminary estimates, on January 19th, as expected in clear anticyclonic weather, the real epiphany frosts will hit. By morning, temperatures will drop to minus 20, minus 25, and on the nights of January 20th and 21st, the cold will intensify even further. It will reach minus 25 to minus 30 at night, and during the day minus 12 to 17, which is 15 degrees below the climate norm. The abnormal frost could last for almost a week, and of course the forecast will still be updated.
In addition, meteorologists report that abnormal frosts down to minus 36 degrees are approaching central Russia. And while Russians are struggling with the bad weather, certain government officials are generating conspiracy nonsense. It's about the idea that the bad weather could be the result of the use of climate weapons against Russia.
Obviously, such a large amount of precipitation can't just fall all at once for no reason. This was done to divert our resources to deal with the aftermath of the bad weather, our source says. It should be noted that this was not the only source to say so.
Meanwhile, Moscow Mayor Sergei Sobyanin, in connection with the abnormal frosts, demanded better protection for Moscow.
Sergei Semyonovich requested additional air defense systems from the military to protect the capital. They promised to take care of everything. These are very difficult times. We hope everything will be all right, commented a source close to the Moscow mayor.
As we can see, the temperature in the halls of power and in the kitchens of ordinary Russians remains consistently different. But now it's not just a metaphor about the gulf between the people and the authorities, it's literally about the fact that the temperature in the office of someone like Sobyanin and that of an ordinary Russian is actually different.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.
Putin is preparing a strike on nuclear power plants to shut down Ukraine. Who will be the first to turn to ice? Urgent. The Kremlin kept the total blackout plan secret, but now any strike on Ukraine immediately triggers a mirrored hell in Russia. Retaliation from the Ukrainian armed forces comes faster than propaganda can invent a lie. Details in the report?
Putin is ready to do anything to force Ukraine to surrender.
I don't think anyone would argue with that.
While Ukraine is enduring the harshest winter since the start of the full-scale war, Russia has intensified missile and drone strikes on energy infrastructure.
It is precisely Russian missiles, Russian Shaheds, and Russia's determination to destroy Ukraine that are clear evidence that Russia is not interested in any agreements.
The main intelligence directorate of Ukraine reports that the Kremlin is considering the scenario of strikes on substations that ensure the operation of Ukraine's nuclear power plants. In this way, the terrorists want to force Kyiv to accept unacceptable conditions for ending the war.
The enemy is trying to put pressure on Ukraine so that we can bring this situation, which is called a bloody war, to an end as soon as possible. Unfortunately, they call it something a bit different. And today they are already moving into a mode of nuclear terrorism. This is already one of the last such red lines on our side that they can cross. We
are sharing the relevant data with our partners, warning them about the potentially catastrophic consequences. It's time for the world, including the IAEA and the leading world powers that value nuclear safety, to speak out and issue clear warnings to Moscow, forcing it to abandon such reckless plans. And
this is after, with the mediation of the IAEA, the Russians spoke about a ceasefire in the area of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant in order to carry out repairs on the last remaining backup power line.
The IAEA is a large closed club of like-minded interests. The club includes those countries with the largest nuclear power generation. One of the largest countries that is a primary financial sponsor of the IAEA is the Russian Federation. Furthermore, the State Atomic Energy Corporation, Rosatom, along with the Rosatom fleet, are, of course, the largest donors to the IAEA's global mission.
The IAEA mission visited and assessed 10 substations after receiving reports of explosions near them.
The teams at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant and the Khmelnytskyi nuclear power plant were informed. It was reported that on January 11th and 15th, drones were spotted flying within 5 kilometers of the site. At the Khmelnytskyi nuclear power plant, a large number of explosions were heard, including some near the facility itself. The team at the South Ukraine nuclear power plant reported numerous air raid alerts, including one approximately 10 kilometers from the facility. A military flying object was also observed.
According to the main intelligence directorate, these are targeted attacks on elements of the power system that connect the nuclear power plant units to the country's unified power grid.
By destroying or disabling these substations, Moscow aims to disconnect the nuclear power plant units from Ukraine's unified power system, leaving Ukrainians completely without electricity and heat. As of mid-January 2026, Russia has conducted reconnaissance on 10 relevant critical energy infrastructure facilities in 9 regions of Ukraine.
A substation or open distribution devices at nuclear power plants are like a two-way road. First and foremost, a nuclear power plant is designed to supply electricity to the grid, providing most regions of Ukraine with a stable power supply schedule. Additional power comes from either green energy or thermal generation, depending on whether it's morning, evening, or daytime. But this is the foundation of our energy system. And these substations currently provide us with an average of 62 to 68% of our electricity generation. In
the event of the destruction or disabling of a substation, intelligence reports claim that Russia is aiming to isolate nuclear power plants from the energy system. This could lead to large-scale power and heating outages for the civilian population.
There's no need to panic. You should stock up on warm clothes, make sure you have clean, warm items, and have some supplies on hand, blankets. And we will get through this difficult period as well, even though it will be very tough for all regional centers and large cities if the enemy attempts to strike at open distribution facilities and major substations of nuclear power plants.
In addition to the fact that the Kremlin dictator continues to terrorize Ukrainians, he is also betting that this will help him increase pressure on Europe and the West.
The enemy is showing that terror, especially now as the wind direction changes and there is an active air mass, could, in some super emergency scenarios, which I think won't happen, carry combustion products, radionuclide products, and so on toward the European Union. This is also a major threat to the stability of the situation in the European Union. First and foremost, this concerns Poland, the Czech Republic, and Slovakia. In
December 2025, the Director General of the IAEA stated that the situation in Ukraine's energy system has been at its worst since September 2024. Since the moment when the International Atomic Energy Agency began monitoring substations that are critical for nuclear safety and protection.
The ongoing instability in Ukraine's power grid continues to undermine nuclear safety. Although backup systems have functioned properly, repeated losses of external power and limited reserves increase the risk and heighten the need for reliable external electricity supply.
He once again called for maximum restraint in the use of force, speaking about safety.
The strikes on Ukraine's power grid appear to be coordinated for maximum disruption. Their frequency and scale underscore that the overall stability of the grid is deteriorating, not improving. No one wants a nuclear accident and no one would benefit from it.
There have already been 2 attacks at the end of last year on IAEA mission vehicles using FPV drones in the temporarily occupied territories. Therefore, trusting the IAEA, and there were none there. Decisions. After that, it's practically impossible to trust the IAEA or believe that they have any real influence here. Rosatom holds a solid, reliable, and highly honorable place in all the vital systems of the Russian state. Since
the beginning of the heating season in October 2025, Russians have carried out more than 250 strikes on Ukraine's energy sector. But Ukraine can deliver a mirror response to Russia. Moreover, there are already results. Our defenders are already striking Russian energy and logistics facilities of the enemy.
Do you even see over there? There, the CHP, the bin, the pot. And do you see that smoke over there? The rhythm?
It's a very serious matter.
Pam 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 pam.
Russia a collapse. The country that started the war is now drowning in its own ruins.
It is steadily making its way toward our current location and will be arriving here at any moment now.
No electricity, no heat, no water. The only things working in the city are the traffic lights.
Winter has exposed what the authorities had been hiding for years behind reports and parades. Blackouts, power plants shut down, cities without heating, people in their apartments in sub-zero temperatures, without electricity, without heat, without help. And no, this is not a natural disaster. This is the result of what the Russian authorities have been doing to Ukraine for almost 5 years now. It destroys critical infrastructure, leaves people without heat, without electricity, without life, turning entire cities into ruins. And now this retribution is coming back to Russia itself. Boiler room emergency.
As the sun began to set and the shadows grew longer on the cold evening of the 12th day of January, the atmosphere shifted into the quiet stillness of the night.
A series of explosions occurred in the area of the local thermal power plant in Oryol, Russia. Drones attacked the thermal power plant and a fire broke out in one of its sections, sending thick smoke over the city. This is already the second attack on the Oryol CHP in a week. A few days ago, the facility was already hit and now it has come under fire again.
Look, can you even see it? You can see the CHP over there. There. And do you see how much smoke there is? I'm really scared. What's happening?
As a result of this fire and the damage, there are disruptions in the supply of electricity, heat and water to parts of the city. And in the Belgorod region, there was a massive blackout. After damage to the energy infrastructure, a significant part of the region was left without electricity.
Actually, the darkness isn't as scary as the lack of water.
For women, yes, of course.
Why women, though? Everyone goes to the bathroom. So,
The official and generous sponsor of our wonderful and exciting outdoor outing today. The toilet and the night snowman's bath.
The power went out in residential areas, at infrastructure sites and in businesses. The authorities were forced to close shopping centers as well. They physically can't operate without electricity. We have
no electricity. 556,000 people in 6 municipalities. Without heat, almost the same number. First and foremost, 1,920 apartment buildings, almost 200,000 people without water and sewage. In
the Rostov region, drones attacked one of the most powerful thermal power plants in southern Russia, the Novocherkasskaya GRES. After the attack, a fire broke out at the facility. We're not talking about a small boiler house, but a key energy hub on which the supply of entire districts depends. Any damage to such a facility automatically affects electricity supply, heating, and the stability of the entire regional network.
That's not a scooter flying, that's a drone. Over there, something's on fire.
The Trans-Baikal territory is also under attack. Thousands of people are without heating. The temperature is -20. People are sleeping in their clothes, warming themselves with bottles of hot water, weeks and weeks of suffering. All this is happening in a country that daily destroys the infrastructure of a neighboring state, leaving millions of people there without electricity, without water, without heat. However, notably, the Russian Federation is not facing any anomalies. This is merely the result. The result of a lack of investment, embezzlement of budgets, and a war that is now turning inward on Russia itself. And
what do you think about the latest events? Share your opinions in the comments, like the video, and stay up to date with the main news. There's more to come.